What's going on, everyone? Greetings and welcome. Today is Wednesday, January 25th, 2023. I want to thank y'all for continuing to show support to the Trigger Mike Show. We are brand new. Thank y'all for coming in and rocking with us every morning. We will be doing this Monday through Friday. So make sure you set your timers. Make sure to get down there in the corner, hit that subscribe button if you have not already. Also, make sure to hit that notification bell so you can get notifications as to when we're doing this show and other shows on the Lapeef Network. Shout out to the Lapeef Network in general, the greatest network on YouTube. All right. So, how was everybody's morning? I hope you had a good commute to work. I hope everything is going swimmingly for you. If you are off on a Wednesday, then you're probably lucky, but congrats to you for that. My morning was good, but man, my kids were getting on my nerves this morning, y'all. I don't even know what to say. I take my kids to school and pick them up every day, and it's not usually this tedious, but they're becoming more opinionated. And I think I got a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, and the 5-year-old already has words. She already knows more words than the average 5-year-old. But now that 3-year-old is starting to develop more words, putting words in sequences like, he's learning to talk like his sister. And I can't deal with the both of them in the morning. I'm telling you, it's getting to become too much, but we got to make it work. Y'all know how we do as parents and society in general. We got to do what we got to do. All right. So, yeah, my commute was good. Hopefully everybody didn't spend too much time in traffic. If you're out here in the Texas area, hope you got your kolaches. That's what we eat out here, kolaches and breakfast tacos. People got breakfast pizza. People got all kinds of breakfast food on different sides of the country. But here we got kolaches, which are just little pigs in a blanket, if you will. Kolaches and breakfast tacos. All right. So, yeah, thank y'all for that. So my daily plans today on this great Wednesday. I'm having phone issues. As you can see yesterday, we had all kind of issues, but we worked through it. So thanks to JR for making that work. The antenna for the first time ever in my phone went out, my network radio, as they call it. So Samsung had to order a new part. Look what they gave me as a loaner phone, y'all. They gave me some kind of purple phone. So this is what I'm rocking right now. My daughter loves this phone, and they're trying to set me up too. They gave me a phone without a case. So I'm really trying not to drop this thing. And for those of y'all who are about to like, oh, you rock an Android, whatever. I rock a Galaxy. There's a difference. I don't like iPhones at all. If I'm going to be honest with y'all, I do not like iPhones. I never have. I had the very first iPhone. All right. Took it back. I sold it immediately. I don't know what I didn't like about it. Okay. And I tried the iPhone again around the iPhone 4. I took it back right before the 2-week mark. Then I tried the iPhone 7. I really tried it 3 times. Y'all remember the Galaxy Note 7? It blew up. They had all the battery issues. So I took it back and they were like, why don't you try an iPhone? They're really more advanced now and all of this. Nope. I cannot do it. I don't know anyone who calls themselves a serious tech person that uses an iPhone. It's not a tech person's phone. All right. So, it limits everything. You got to pay for everything. I can pull stuff on the internet to screen record it for life to my phone on a Galaxy. I can't do that. You can't do those type of things on iPhones. They restrict anything. Music, anything out there. I don't have to have Apple Music. I can get it straight to my phone from the internet forever. So Samsung is the best. Y'all are tripping. Learn how to use it. Dedicate yourself to learning the platform. You will do well. I see my team, Android people, in the chat. Thank you. Let them know Samsung is what's up. Always years ahead of anybody's phone. Well, at least in America, they got people trying to keep up with them now, but that's what's up. All right. So hopefully y'all saw the topic for today. This is building off of the topic we had yesterday. Okay. The topic for yesterday was fathers teach daughters their worth, which was a great topic. Even though we had weather issues, I want to thank the panel and people that came on for keeping that conversation going. Today's topic, though, is fathers teach their sons how to treat women. And I gave you a little bit of the basis story for this topic yesterday, and I'm going to keep that going. I'm going to reintroduce that basis to you for those of you that weren't listening and tuned in yesterday. All right, so where did this topic come from? Fathers teach their sons how to treat women. And naturally, I'm going to get a lot of backlash for that, right? I was on Facebook. One of my Facebook friends, she put up a post. It just stated plainly, very simple. I think it was a Saturday, just thumbing through Facebook, reading people's posts. It said, not verbatim, but I'm paraphrasing maybe, she couldn't wait to have a son so she can teach her son how to treat women. Me being the opinionated man that I am, I put respectfully, I think it's a father's job to treat his son how to treat women, to teach his son how to treat women. Boy, Facebook went off. Excuse me. They went off on me. This was somebody I went to college with. So I knew everybody that was talking, but they attacked that post. And I was holding my ground. I was holding my ground completely because I didn't want to firebomb them right away. I wanted to listen to see how could they substantiate the argument that mothers teach their sons how to treat women. And I let them go. You heard everything. Mothers do all of this for their sons. We sacrifice. We let them know how women feel. Everything you could think to hear, they said. Then I just went in after the 100th comment. It just started, becoming a wave of people saying, how could you say that? Father's this, father's that. I went in and I started a new little, thread. I said, if mothers are so great at teaching fathers how to treat women, how did we get to this point in our current society? If mothers are alone to teach their sons, right? You would think in a simple context, if you were thinking about it simply, you would say, if mothers are there solely, let's say even in a single mom situation with just her son, if you were thinking about it simply, that woman has the ability to completely indoctrinate her son on how to treat women properly. But that's not what happens, is it? We got to look at the data. That is not what happens. In fact, the opposite happens. That's the entire basis for my argument. That's how critical fathers are in this family dynamic. Even when women are alone, to indoctrinate their children to serve women's needs only and primarily, boys decide in their nature to do the opposite. They become womanizers. They treat women worse. So that's just testament. I started coming back and, with all of those rebuttals, and they couldn't handle it. Of course, they got mad, they got mad, but it's the truth. I stuck to my point. Fathers teach their sons how to treat women. I'm going to go a little bit further into it so we can kind of establish a basis before I bring the people up. So, ladies, I got to put out a call to you. I got to tell you, I want y'all to come up. I want y'all to cam up. All right. So I want y'all to be a part of this conversation. And I'm not going to let anybody bully you, by the way, on this topic. I'm not going to bully you. I'm not going to let anybody else do it. I want to know how women and mothers contribute to teaching their sons how to treat women. So I want to know it from your side because I'm a dad. I'm not a mom, right? So please make sure JR is going to drop the link. Get ready to come up, cam up, and discuss that part with me. There's going to be a friendly debate about this particular topic because I'm not saying fathers can solely teach it or do solely teach it. I just believe it's the father's job and it's more critical that we do so rather than the mother, right? So Also, just like Cece said here, I think mothers should be the example for sons of how a woman should behave. Cece, that is correct. All right. So that they have a role in it. So I'm not going to take that out completely. All right. But let me explain in further detail the basis for my topic here today. Um, Mothers are women, and a mother can tell her son how to treat women. Okay. But fathers are men, and men experience women. There is a huge difference there. A father can tell his son through his own experience how to get favorable or negative responses from women. And yeah, just men can call in as well. Yes, fathers call in as well, or just men in general that have been responsible for teaching, even brothers. If you were a bigger brother that taught your younger brother, all of that, yes, you could definitely cam up for us to have this particular discussion. But going back, fathers experience women, men experience women. This is why I always say women claim to know each other better than we know them. But I don't believe that's true necessarily. We experience women. This is how a womanizer knows women better in many ways than a woman knows another woman. He knows how to get inside their head to make them do things out of their character. That is what I call knowing somebody, or knowing more about a female and what's going on in her head and her psychology and all of that. So I want women to really understand that we experience you. So when we're teaching our sons how to deal with you, right? It's not just what you want. Mothers are gonna dream big when they tell their sons how to treat women. They're going to flatter themselves. They're gonna give information out on lofty things they would have wanted and the way they would have wanted to be treated. You make sure you do this for her. You make sure you do that because women like this and that. She's gonna add a boatload of things that aren't even really necessary. You just want to see that happen, right? They're gonna add a bunch of selfish desires in a way a boy is supposed to treat a woman. All right, so that is what mothers do. We know that now. It's irrefutable. Mothers just give out a bunch of BS and lofty goals to their sons that they probably can never live up to in reference to how they treat a woman. They don't give any real game through experience or anything. Fathers give that experience to their sons. They can give them actual stories to say, when I did this, I got a completely unfavorable response from it. I thought I was doing something. I wasn't doing nothing. Then I did it again and I did it again. And I didn't like the response I got. That type of teaching gets burned into the soul of a boy. When you teach through experience that way, right? It's just like an experiment. It resonates more with young boys and girls, depending on what you're teaching them. But he knows he has realistic expectations for how to engage with women in the future. That is valuable, extremely valuable for a boy to have. And most boys don't got it now. Y'all understand what I'm saying? They don't have that example because the father is absent from the home many of the times in the black community and even the white community, right? So you got to understand how critical it is that boys have this example. They got to have this example. They got to have their father in the home, even when their mother is telling them things, right? Modeling for them. And fathers modeling that behavior by the treatment of the boy's mother. That's what's also missing. A lot of times we don't even understand that kids see. Kids see the way y'all handle situations, the way y'all handle disagreements, fights. All of that is showing your son how to treat women and showing your daughter how women ought to be treated. It's simple. We make it complicated as human beings, but it's very simple. A very simple concept to grasp. All right. So, yeah, welcome on that. But I'm telling y'all that particular part where I say men teach their sons how to experience women and get favorable responses from them. Another point that I wanted to make is, and this is where something I wanted to drive home, and I got questions for the panel. Anybody want to come up, please? Go ahead and hit the link, came up. Everybody that had a father didn't have a good one either. So we need to make sure we acknowledge that. Because we can talk right now about how 70% of Black people alive today in the United States of America grew up in a single mother-led home. But then those that grew up with fathers, there is also a percentage of them that didn't have great fathers, present fathers, fathers that knew how to articulate themselves, fathers that treated the mother well, fathers that had an example to show them how to treat the mother, the daughter, the son well, and take care of the family unit in general. So even though we were already fractioned off, fathers are missing entirely for millennials. Like 70% of millennials did not have father. They grew up primarily under their mother's influence in that home. But then there's also a portion of people with fathers that did not have effective fathers. Let me use that word, right? Because your father can be there, he can be present, but he can also be ineffective. So that is how you essentially kill a society or an ethnic group, right? You're basically working from behind. Fathers out here not teaching enough. Mr. Charles says, exactly. My father ain't teach me enough. Glad my brother was there for some guidance. Thank you for that, sir. Absolutely. That's what we're dealing with here today. You see what I'm saying? So, brothers play a huge role. I've heard plenty of big brothers say they taught their little brothers. They had to learn the hard way. I've heard that tons of times. To be honest, I've had to teach my brother some stuff. Not because my dad wouldn't, because my dad had a lot of ground to cover. He had 4 kids, a wife, a house, a home to tend to. And honestly, at some point, you got to start teaching your eldest son, which I am, how to be a man and be accountable for things in the home outside of your absence. Of course, when you're of age, right? So when you become of age, you got to start teaching your boy how to be a man, start having him take care of things for the mom instead of the fathers. They're like, look, I need you to help your mom with this while I go out and bring more bacon home, while I go out and seek this opportunity. So that's definitely something that can happen. You share that knowledge with your brother. That's what we talk about when we talk about this village aspect. So over the cloud that's over this entire discussion, and most discussions that I have, the cloud that's over it is that there is no community. There is no community structure at all. It should not even fall solely on the parents. I'm talking about grandparents, neighbors, aunts, uncles. Everybody should be involved in the rearing of these children. When you see the best society has to offer, I'm trying to tell you, let me wind it back a little bit. I got a customer. Y'all know I'm a federal firearms licensee. So I'm licensed to sell guns, build guns, do all this kind of crazy stuff. So I have some very, very high power, big dollar clients. All right. I had a guy come get 2 SP5s. Look up what that is, from me. Those things are like going for like $4,000 a piece. Ordered 2, came to pick it up. Pulled up in a Porsche. I don't even know. Porsche, whatever you know what I'm saying? You just heard it outside. I was like, who is this? So I opened my garage and I'm like, damn. Most of the time, my clients they always want to get to know me because of the nature of the work that I do. So how did you get this job and you're home based? A lot of people don't know you can sell it out, your home through special order, but that's another song and dance, right? So we just start talking and he like, you got kids? I was like, yeah, I got kids. And we started talking and I started asking him what he did for a living. And somehow we got on the subject of rearing children and what's necessary to do so. I believe, no, I know how we got there now. He asked me if I was from Texas. I said, no. And he said, "What made you move here?" And I told him about my experience in the Navy. The Navy had sent me to San Antonio for some months. And I just went on tour out here in Texas. I loved it. Had no idea Texas was popping like this. Right? San Antonio, a lot of Mexicans, but it's popping. Austin, popping. Houston, Dallas, we were around this spot, right? Just going out and doing what we do. And I said the one thing that I think I messed up on is that I moved away from my support system, right? I moved away from my parents, my brother, my sisters. And I said when I have kids, I'm not really gonna have as big of a community as I would have wanted around my kids in totality. That man messed around and told me how he grew up, the support system he had around him, how he knows it directly contributed not only to his success. He's a corporate executive that works from home. He told me that it saved his brother from a drug addiction. He just started letting these stories off. And I got to tell y'all, any white people watching, white people tell you all their business. It's crazy. I'll be like, some of that stuff, I was like, boy, this is inappropriate. You shouldn't be sharing this. But he did. You know, shout out to, my white brothers and sisters, man. Y'all, we fool with y'all for real. But y'all be telling all y'all business. It's crazy. But anyway, no, he definitely told me, and I could not have agreed more with him. He said the reason he went to college, even when he had no money, right? He comes from a very well-off family, but even the dad had gotten laid off from his job. Out here in the Houston area, a lot of people are in oil and gas. And one thing about oil and gas is you make huge amounts of money, but you can get laid off any hour of any day. So if you're making 500,000, you signed on to make 500,000 a year, you're not going to do that job for the rest of your life. You might make 1.5 million in 3 years, but you might be unemployed for 2 years after that. So you better save your money, right? So that's the type of work his dad did, and his dad got unemployed. I think his dad was a geologist. They get unemployed a lot. I know quite a few of them. When the getting is good and they have oil and places to send these guys, those guys make money. When the oil's dried up and they don't have places to send them, those guys don't work. So he said his grandfather took him in, paid for his schooling, even directed his path as to what he was going to do, just so he wouldn't step on the same career landmines as his father did. And he said that type of guidance is what helped him help his brother, helped him help his sisters. They got around and congregated, not what they wanted to do for happiness or each person's goals. They said, what can we do to make sure our family stays thriving? Right? The boys were like, we're going to do this strictly out of duty. I still forgot. I'm forgetting what he does exactly, but he's a corporate version of whatever he does. The executive version, vice president or something like that. And he gets to work from home. So that's just gravy. Right? So that to me was just beautiful. That's what should be around every single child. If we want to talk about success, if we want to talk about community, we better start talking about that. The way the boys have to be brought up is within that community. You have to make your boys accountable for the whole community. That starts through their fathers. Y'all know I'm not lying to y'all. That starts through their fathers. I know women are coming up in society and y'all want to take your place in it. And as you can see, if we're being real, men don't stop you from doing that. Men don't stop you from taking your place in society at all. We want our women to do well. I want my wife to do well. My brother wants his wife to do well. We want y'all to keep excelling. We just want you to keep in mind that this family is the most important. That's what men need to start pushing out here. Keeping this family dynamic, this unit together is always most important. And I think in women's effort to be like men, You forgot that that is a man's purpose. My provision, my advancement in life is directly tied to the advancement of my family. Unfortunately, we see with too many women and mothers, your advancement is for selfish purposes. It's tied to your ego. It's tied to your image in society, which, it should be, but never should you diminish in your family obligations, your family role because of your career. That's all I'm saying. If I had to put it out there, what I expect from you as a member of this society, that is what I expect. Do your best with family in mind. That's it. I could put that on a t-shirt. Do your best with family in mind. Always. That is actually what fathers do. Spread the word. Fathers have declined jobs. Some haven't. If the wife is willing to move, some will take the job. But fathers have declined jobs so their children wouldn't have to change schools. We keep family in mind a lot, actually. The average man always has his family in mind. Fathers realize that sometimes if they take a new job, they won't be able to go to their son's games, their daughter's games, her cheerleading competitions, right? Some men can't avoid that, but you see what I'm saying. Fathers always have to keep their family in mind. Sometimes the biggest way to keep them in their mind is through your provision, through sustenance. I got to do what I got to do to sustain the family. But you're doing all that with the family in mind. So, ladies, do your best in the workforce. Do your best in your individual endeavors. Always keep family in mind because you are obligated. It's your duty. We got to stop failing these boys and girls out here, y'all. Failing these kids is not only destroying the community, it's destroying the individual little tribes we're supposed to make. I don't see even small factions, small groups of people getting together anymore, and those little tribes can eventually become a community. Everybody's an individual. Everybody's their own brand now. Brands die. Brands die. Brands are also synonymous with saying trends. Trends die. Do y'all know that feminism, it's not new? Go read your history, read philosophy, the Roman Empire, the Greek Empire, Egyptian Empire. Feminism spread its wings in all of those societies close to the end of that empire. It spread its wings wide in all of those individual societies. Go read Aristotle, some of his works, and all of that. It's when we allow people to become focused on individualism and stop focusing on community that you kill the entire empire itself. Who do you fail in that process? You fail the children. People ask me all the time, would you ever think about leaving your wife, or is marriage it for you? How difficult is it? I usually don't even know how to answer that question. I'll be like, well, whatever it is or it isn't, I can't leave. Those two babies that I watched come out of my wife, yeah, those two babies that I watched leave her body, tell me I can't leave. It ain't about me no more. After the first one came out, it won't about me no more. Fellas, I don't know what to tell you. Ladies, I don't know what to tell you. It's not about me no more. It's about those kids, the example they got. It's about those kids. It's about teaching my son how to treat women. It's about teaching my daughter her value and her worth. Right? That's it. That's my number one duty. That's my number one obligation. So I got to make it everything else work. Sometimes I got to swallow my pride and take an L, even though I know I'm right and I really want to tell my wife off, right? I got to take the L because that's my number one duty. Keep this family together. And I won't fail. My dad didn't fail. My cousins don't fail. Their fathers before them didn't fail their children. I can't fail mine. That's what we're talking about. Legacy, the legend that you're going to leave behind. I'm not going to leave behind a legend of failure for my child. More importantly, my son. I have to pass my daughter off to be under the protection and care of another man. Some of y'all men take that too lightly. Way too lightly. She can't just be with anybody, because by the time I'm done raising her, she ain't going to be just anybody. Damn, y'all got me worked up this morning. But listen, man, we got to teach these boys how to treat women. I'm looking forward to y'all coming up. Make sure you click the link, come up, cam up, talk with your boy. I want to know, I got some questions for y'all. The first question I want y'all to ponder on and think about: whose job is it to teach sons how to treat women? The mother or the father? Think about that. Come up and chat with me. Whose job is it to teach their son how to treat women? Is it more the mother's job? Is it more the father's job? Is it both? Is it equal? Come up, chat with me, and we'll talk about it. But that's the number one question. Guy said, Trigger might preach like a Nigerian pastor. I feel like I'm at a men's conference at church. Hey, it is what it is, man. Excuse me. But I appreciate the love. We got to stop failing these children. I'm going to be honest with y'all, man. When it comes to the treatment of women, let me get a little personal for a sec. Let me get a little personal, because we got to start giving real, even though it's anecdotal, we got to start giving personal experiences on how we got to where we're at. And I want, people in the chat and people that come up to share that knowledge with us. Excuse me. So when I was younger, and I'm the eldest child, so I was going to get it the worst anyway. But I grew up to realize that with me in particular, I got punished. My father was a consistent disciplinarian, and that's something that I expect most men to become. You can't waver in your discipline at all. You got to be consistent. My father was also very consistent with the discipline as it related to the way I treated my mother and my sisters. Because I wasn't super disrespectful. But men with a few sisters, especially one close in age to you, y'all are gonna tussle. It ain't all love all the time. And all of the teaching doesn't come in right away. Right? Like, what do you do when your sister hits you? You try to hit her right back. She punched you in the arm, you trying to punch her in the arm. But the way I got disciplined for that specific type of aggression was special. I'm not even going to get into detail, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Disrespect to my mother, physical aggression towards my sisters. Well, no, in fact, I've never even, the youngest one, never. We've never had anything. But the one close, right behind me in age, girls don't understand that they're girls. They want to hit you in the arm and do all the type of stuff, and you get angry. But that specific type of punishment for me was special, because he had to teach me, you don't do that. The same way I got to teach my son, you don't hit your sister back. And it's going to be redundant. It's going to take years before he realizes why. And hopefully she'll realize, as he's towering over her head, as he develops way more lean muscle mass than she has, hopefully she'll realize to stop hitting him entirely. But, that comes further down the line. Women This is actually very interesting. As we teach boys how to treat women, because we've drawn out this topic, so I can't draw it out for a third day. It is also equally important that we teach women how to treat men. That is also missing. We talk about the topic of submission so much without even realizing at its core, women weren't even taught how to keep a man in mind. Think about your man, girl. What does your man think? Did you think that you think you're going to be able to get a husband and take care of him if you go after that career? Women won't told none of this. They weren't told any of this by their moms. Modern women we're talking about here. They were not given any of this advice. And I think we're starting to realize that. And Mr. O'Shea, let me highlight this comment. Why not teach girls not to hit boys also? We touched on that. That's what we're getting to right now. I don't believe, listen, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to tread carefully when I say this. Every dude that's in jail for domestic violence is not an abuser. He's not abusive. I believe that 100% to my core. Every man that's in jail for domestic violence or has that kind of charge of him on him is not an actual abuser. Like a physical abuser. He's not. I don't believe all of the men that are in there are there for that. I saw a statistic that stated that the large majority of those incidents were initiated by women. So, Mr. O'Shea, I 100% agree. Teach women not to engage with men in that way. And that's what we're talking about right here. Moms have to be aware. They got to protect. That's actually protecting your daughter. Teaching your daughter how she should interact with men is her protection. That is a huge, huge part of protection. You got to teach her how to keep herself safe. I know cultures of women that don't raise their voice at men. That to me is natural submission. You'll hear me say on several podcasts that I frequent that all women should submit in a sense to all men. Simply because y'all can't whoop our ass. I know it sounds crazy, but you can't have what you can't take. You can't take me on. Why are you yelling at me? I've seen, especially as somebody who went to black schools, I have seen more posturing. Women posturing men like they're men. Girls posturing boys like they're boys. Then got the look of surprise when they get hit. It's supposed to be innate in you that you keep your tone down. This is actually how we can recognize the wrong in the male. Men will step up for you because they realize you're a feminine creature because you're acting like one. I've seen videos, I think this was New York, of a woman getting her tail whooped and nobody helped her. That's because that showed me there was no audio, no nothing. Watching that video showed me that men no longer recognize women as feminine. Do y'all know that we will naturally protect you? We naturally protect people that can't protect themselves. That is innate in us. That literally is in our biology. A child that I don't know moving in the way of an oncoming car, I will dive my ass out there to save that kid instinctually because I recognize their vulnerability in the situation. That's the same way women need to be vulnerable and, I guess, submissive in society. We need to recognize you as feminine so you qualify for our help. All y'all do is talk. Some ladies talk. Why don't men do this? Why don't men help us? You're not feminine enough. I promise you. That's the answer to all of it. Once we recognize you as something we must protect, because that is what we innately do, we will help you. No questions asked, no explanation necessary. That's what men do. We protect women and children and other men who can't protect themselves. You got men in the military that don't even know you, getting their legs blown off just so you have the right to come talk shit to us on the internet. So you have the right to do that. There are men that do that for you. What's going on, Mr. Walker? Welcome back.
Thank you, brother. Thanks for having me, man. You home one this late morning, early afternoon. You hitting the nail right on the head, brother. I appreciate what you're saying as far as how men, real men, have this instinct to protect feminine women. And why do I think that a lot of these women are not being so feminine? I think you touched on it. There's an age group, a lot of men that have failed these women and have, if you will, kind of forced them into more of a masculine dynamic, if you ask me. But yeah, that feminine energy is powerful from a woman. Being happily married 10 years, 3 kids. I'm telling you, that feminine energy, when the man is being a man standing on his square, I believe it's a lot more easier to get that feminine energy that we crave from a woman to help us be the man that we want to be.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Not only that, so I mean, I could go in on this topic for hours, to be honest, and we'll get into it. In fact, I want to actually get into that because that's a good segue. But I want to ask you the first question I had queued up here. Whose job is it, the mother or the father, or both, to teach their son how to treat women?
Having 2 sons now, it is the father's job. It is your responsibility and your task to show your son how to treat a woman and how to be treated by a woman by simply standing on your square. Like I think I put it in the chat. I don't even know who my father is. So my passion comes from, not having a father. So when I look at my kids, I'd be like, I'd be darned, if they go through the same things that I went through. But I think wholeheartedly is then the mom, should teach the daughter, how to be, how to be a wife. And me and my partner Gav talked about this. Having daughters as well is tough, looking at the current state of the young men out here. And I got to ask myself, like, holy cow, do I want to raise my daughter I love so much, to be submissive, to what I'm seeing out here as far as the men that she may have to choose from? And that's a tough one there. But I do believe it's most responsibility always falls on the man, and that's a healthy balance, if you ask me.
Absolutely. That was facts. All factuals right there. Let me highlight this comment real quick. Maya Thomas says the issue is that feminists are more anti-man than pro-woman. They're their own worst enemies. That is facts. Have y'all noticed that women aren't united on anything? They actually hate each other. I'm sorry. Women aren't united on anything other than their opposition against men. Like women be like, women are united front. We are feminism. No, you're not. I can take you to any hospital, any nursing floor, any group of women. They'll probably be led by men because that's what they actually prefer to be. Actually, that's what I mean. They prefer. They will say, why are we always being led by men? Why can't a woman get in this position? Put a woman in that top position over women. They will talk trash to that woman. They will tear her name down. I don't like the way she talked to me. Who she thinks she talking to? Right? But let me tell you that this feminism movement is really anti-man. It's not really pro-woman leadership, anything it claims to be. It is not. Another reason we know that is that it cannot achieve any part of its agenda without putting men down first. I would 100% be on the side of feminism if it was saying what it needed to do, accomplish what it needed to accomplish without saying anything about men. It can actually do that. You like it's crazy that it can do that. You don't have to say a word about men to initiate female empowerment. You don't. Because you actually have the blueprint, if I'm gonna be honest. Every single thing that men created, we created for everyone. Things that women want to create, they want to create for women, which is weird. So I don't think women really understand that. Don't put men down to prop yourself up. Doesn't make you look strong, because men don't do that. I have never been to a meeting, a frat meeting, a parent organization meeting, or with fathers, and they say, "How are we going to oppress women this quarter?" Nobody ever says that. What are we going to do for these ungrateful ass women this quarter? Like, nobody starts the conversation off like that. We only start to in fact, y'all are included in everything we do. We have a mind for family in everything we do. Hey, I don't know how the wives gonna feel about that, y'all. Y'all think we putting too much work on them? Yeah. We might want to get them some help. Like literally, our mind is for our women or our family in everything we do. Feminism needs to behave like. Is there a word for masculinity? Feminism just needs to behave like men in general. How about that? Not like the worst of us, just like men in general. Benevolent men that progress society and move it forward. I definitely like what you said about the fathers. I also think it's the father's job as well. I got another question for you. How have fathers failed in their teachings of their son on how to treat women and other things as well?
Man, like you said, I think it is good that we start giving, our anecdotal instances, to come up with solutions and start to draw everyone's point of view and come up with, overall solutions instead of just anecdotal solutions. How I've experienced fathers failing, kids in my community growing up in the projects and public housing is not being around, or if they, like you said, if they are around, they're just not effective. They could be having to work too much and not putting enough time towards actually teaching and mentoring to their children, something that I'm definitely working so much. And, there could a couple factors from just not being present to just being undereducated, not really knowing what to teach their kids, lack of education. My folks are from Shreveport, Louisiana, and I believe it's safe to say that there's a lot of Black folks that aren't too far removed, for lack of a better term, from the plantation. So as we continue on and grow and become more removed, we need to have that pressure on us to try to instill more knowledge and more wisdom and more insight in our kids. And I feel like that's where a lot of fathers have failed in the past, but we could kind of say it's not exactly their fault, but we get to a point where it is now our responsibility, even though it may not be our fault, on the shortcomings. But just lack of knowledge, and I hate to say it, but still dealing with a little bit of systematic oppression, if you will, lack of knowledge and things of that sort.
Facts. Let me try to ponder on my thoughts on this. I mean, for some reason on these platforms, a lot of women think we're trying to absolve men of accountability. And you heard me say it before. I think I said it yesterday. There is no absolving men of accountability. We have ultimate accountability for everything in society. So that's the cloud. That's the overarching cloud over the conversation, right? So fathers fail their sons or fail them by not being present. That's first off. I don't even want to get, let me put this in proper context, because what I don't want to do, and I heard Aaron O say this, Shout out to Aaron O. Subscribe to his channel when y'all get a chance. He said fathers that aren't present. Fathers are the only thing in history that get blamed for something when they're not there. It takes the presence of a human being, an entity, a substance, an animate object. Like, it takes something's presence to constitute you giving blame to it.
I take to
Right?
piggyback off that trigger. I seen a panel where a sister was going on about her life. She said, she was not happy with her father because he worked 2 jobs and wasn't around. But on the flip side of that, whenever we talk about our mothers working 2 jobs, she's a warrior. And being a father, I'm not easily offended. I said, man, that hurt, because like you said, man, every decision that a real man makes, that a real father makes, it's his family that's at the top, whenever he's making that selection. And like you said, the fathers get, judged very harshly for not being there, even if it was just to go get provisions.
Yep. So it's like fathers are the only people that can be blamed. It's like blaming. What is that? What is the stuff that eats the crops on a farm?
The locust.
Like locusts or rats, or locusts don't even come out like, or they like seasonal or whatever. It's like blaming the locust in the off season for eating the crops. It wasn't even there. We understand locusts can be bad. We know what they do when they're present, and we got to hold them accountable for that. But when they're not there, the insurance company, you can't tell the insurance company you lost the crops when it's not the season for locusts to be in. All right, so it's like, look, fathers are the only ones that can be blamed for not being there and something going wrong. And of course, like I said, you can't absolve them of accountability. But remember, blame is something very different. Very different, or at least, in context can be very different. So I want to make sure we do that right. So I'm only going to talk about present fathers, and then we can give accountability to non-present fathers. A father can fail his son, and by present, I also don't mean in the same home. They can be divorced. They can never have been together. But as we see from recent data and statistics, more fathers are, I don't even know where this narrative comes from about black men. Overwhelming majority of black men are involved in their children's lives. So y'all need to stop that narrative entirely. According to the CDC study and individual studies, because people like to debunk people hate anything that gives black men credit, right? Black men are the best fathers in terms of how much time they spend with their children. Hourly, spend more time with their children than any other father in America. Right? So, but what I will say, you can blame fathers for, they don't use their presence correctly. I think in modern times, what's going on is that most fathers now have an issue with the mother if they're not with them. They allow those issues to take them over, and they start having immature responses to stuff the mother is doing. To their defense, they are dealing with stuff no man in history have ever dealt with. I always say that this generation of men, are the first group of men who have to be okay with being deprioritized by their women because of their job. Women have always kept their family a priority, no matter where they work. And black women have always worked. Do not get that in your head that, oh, mammy, nanny. Well, what's Nana? I didn't mean to say mammy. My apologies. Nana was always staying home, and no, she was doing something. She was washing the neighbor's clothes. She was running a maid service. She was doing a nanny service. She was working somehow. Some way, somehow, that lady was contributing heavily to the support and sustenance of that home while she was taking care of the kids and the home. All right, so that is the way women used to keep family in mind. Now women are deprioritizing their man, even deprioritizing their kids in favor of the job. So men have to deal with that. And I don't think a lot of men now know how to. Remember, we're the first generation, the very first. Millennials are the first generation that are dealing with this out of men in history. More women working, more women than men in the workforce for the first time in history. All right, we're the ones dealing with this. Our fathers and grandfathers, so on and so forth, did not deal with this. So, I understand it from that lens where men are just sitting here frustrated. They're taking things out on the mother. I don't think a lot of men talk bad about the mom in front of the kid. I just feel like that's just not something men do. It's not how we move because you damage your credibility as a man doing that. Some men will do it, the worst of us, but I don't think it's something that men do largely, in my opinion. So yeah, I think men take their frustrations and they use that to kind of desecrate their ability. That just takes away their ability to show and model how to treat that mother because they just don't want to interact with her at all. Like that's in the situations where it's co-parenting and stuff. They just want to interact with her as little as possible. She's getting on their damn nerves. She always got something to say. She always trying to make a power move. This is what men are reporting. And then when it comes to fathers in the home, it's hard to talk. Like I said, it's hard to talk about black men because we're not the ones screwing up when we're in the home. We help the most. The funny thing about the black men that are married today, remember, 70% of them come from homes that were led by single moms. So most of them will help a woman with cleaning because they clean themselves. Most of them will help a woman with folding because they folded to their mama house. So I don't know what narrative we allow women to create. The black man that's alive today is more open to anything you ask him to do than any other man has ever been in history. He grew up with his mama solely, made him clean, made him wash dishes, made him do all that stuff. So what are y'all talking about? We got to flip this narrative around, yo.
That ain't nothing but the truth, Trigger. I tell you what, that's so true. Growing up, being taught, myself being raised by a single mom, I thank God I fell in love with the idea of the Renaissance man, a man that could do everything. Build, fix a car, do all these manly things, build structures, repair, and also fold laundry, do dishes. I could do everything but cook. But yeah, that I take a lot of pride in that, Trigger Mike, like you said, being a father and listening to our black women, our wives, our mothers, and actually being around and being productive men.
Absolutely. We're going to flip the question around now. And I like that word productive. I use those words in conjunction. If somebody asks me what kind of kids I'm trying to raise functional and productive children, members of society, functional and productive members of society. That's all any parent can really ask for. It's what we do this work for. How have mothers failed their children in teaching them, or mothers failed their son in teaching that boy how to treat women?
Ooh. Well, like we talked about, we teach our sons how to be men by showing them how to treat their mothers, and it goes the other way around, I would have to say, Mike, where these single moms that may be scorned by non-present fathers or nug, the son and the daughter, they're seeing mom talk bad about the father. Now that's something we do see. With not so much men talking bad about the women. That's just really not a thing, not amongst the majority of good men. Now you get nugging them at the bottom. Yeah, they can act out in feminine ways, but for the most part, like you said, real men don't do that. But these women, these scorned women, they are a lot more likely to talk bad about the father in front of the kids with no filter whatsoever. And again, talking about anecdotal experience that time and time again. That's just not that's not the way to be. But I believe that's a way that the mothers are failing their kids by, for one, mating with the wrong individual. Not
Ooh, come on.
yeah. Don't get me started on that. Mating with the wrong individual. Accountability falls heavy on the man. But sisters, please understand, there's nothing more precious than you and what brings life into this world. And you could, if you protect that, that is almost the beginning and the end to the issue. But number one reason I feel like mothers have failed their children is not reproducing with the right man.
Oh boy, you hit my I guess I'll call it core philosophy right there. You touched on my core philosophy. When I'm talking about where women go wrong primarily, I always say that too many women are choosing to procreate with the lowest ranking member of the group. I choose my words very carefully because I don't even want to call a man a scrub and take away his ability to do something great in the future. But his rank is low right now. Right? When I was in college, I was a freshman first. And as I did more work, passed more classes, I increased in rank. Eventually, I was a senior. Eventually, I was a graduate. Eventually, I was a graduate student. Eventually, I had to go into the workforce. Eventually, I had to get more experience. So that's what I mean by lowest ranking. I don't want to make it seem like these men don't have the ability to turn themselves around. But women get with the lowest ranking member of the group in every respect. You claim to want a dude to make six figures, but this dude don't even have a job. You see, he's going from job to job. He don't even have an apartment. His credit score 389. But you jump on this dude raw. What was going through your head?
I think
Yeah, go ahead.
I think I think they be attracted to whatever, you know, overwhelming sense of masculinity, that low ranking brother at that time is presenting. Once I started to get myself together, I would double back ask my wife. I said, what made you choose my goofy self? Know who I was in college? I was very rough around the edges. And she said, because you had a plan, you talk like you had a purpose. So I agree with you, Trigger. These women say all the stuff that they want, but they don't even ask the right questions. And I thank God my wife was smart enough to ask the right questions and apply that good, productive pressure, to a man. But man, heck yeah.
Absolutely, bro. Uncle Stepdaddy, how you doing today, my man?
What's good, Trigger Mike? What's going on, Mr.
Hey, good
Walker? I hope
morning
y'all
to you,
brother.
sir.
What's up, brother?
Oh, good, brother, man. I hope y'all had a great weekend. I hope y'all having an expounding, excellent the beginning of the week or midweek, should I say? I'm catching I caught y'all live, man, but I'm gonna speak on this a little bit. I watch all y'all guys in the YouTube sphere, especially Trigger Mike. I see him on Lapeef, and I see him on Trill show, and a couple of Ricky shows and things like that. But to speak on this situation, man, I'm gonna be a little transparent, like I am on every panel that I've been on. I'm 40 years old, born and raised in Mississippi. I live in Texas now. It's just like Trigger Mike said. I'm gonna piggyback off of the points you made. You made some excellent points. That the fact that every time you like it's going to high school or college, you become a freshman first, and you have to become a senior to graduate. That's the same way in life. I tend to tell people when I have 5 children by 5 different women. So that Pookie and Ray Ray dude, I was that in my late teens and early 20s. You know what I'm saying? So that was in my infancy, my freshman stage. So it took me having to notice that, you know what, I can't continue to carry on this type of foolishness and things like that. And these are good women that I procreated with. There aren't any type of ratchet thought teachers or anything like that. They have everything going for themselves, and saying to let everybody in the chat know, everybody that's watching, many people that are watching, all of my kids' mothers are married now. So that pretty much, pick, let you know what type of woman or women I chose to procreate with. It's just the fact that it was just the wrong time at that time because I wasn't financially stable as I am now. So when it comes to this, when I heard him say that, why are women the reason or men the reason, whatever, I'll start with the women and the men. I put them both in this category. We have to start learning. I don't know if you two guys agree to this analogy, but we are what we attract to an extent. So
Mhm.
when that being said, and it baffles me that Trigger Mike and Mr. Walker, I get on social media daily, if not daily. I see it on these platforms, even when it comes to cruise season or Lapeef or whoever I choose to watch. I enjoy watching. I see a lot of, and I know Trigger Mike has seen this and heard this on the panels he's been on. Every time we hold that proverbial mirror up to these ladies' faces, first thing to come out their mouth is what? But you mean? You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's most staunchest smell other than chitlins on Thanksgiving holidays and Christmas holidays, man. Like, why can't you accountability to black women or to women, period? I ain't gonna just single out black women, but accountability to women is just like kryptonite and Lois Lane was to Superman. And it's sad because at the end of the day, you chose to lay down with this dude. You chose to procreate with him. Just like Trigger Mike said, you have to start vetting these people. That's the reason why co-parenting is all time low. Why can't, not saying that Trigger Mike, I'm just using you for an example. Why can't Trigger Mike be with a young lady, have children with him, then decide they don't want to be together no more? They can co-parent like two upstanding adults without you saying that you want to be mom and daddy or use those kids as a tool or as a carrot to keep their kids out of that man's life because a father is important to a kid. That our father was important to all three of these men that's on this panel today. That's the reason why Trigger Mike is where he is. That's the reason why Mr. Walker is where he is because of his father. Because of Trigger Mike is because of his father. Because if it weren't for daddy fertilizing that egg, he wouldn't have been here. Me either. So when it comes to that, it all goes back to your decision making. Decision making will set you back either 1 or 2 years, or will set you back a lifetime, depending on your decision. So when it comes to that, I just feel like they need to choose better dudes. You can't go out here and call these dudes square and this and that because I'm the dude that'll love you and treat you like you're supposed to be treated. But you want to go have kids and be a single mother just because. The same ones that y'all out here complaining about now are the ones that made you single mothers. And so the only person you have to blame for that is yourself. So with my finishing statement, I just feel like we have to take more of accountability within our folks because we hear it a lot and we say it a lot because they think we hate them or anything like that. No, ladies, you have to take more accountability for the people you procreate with, just like for our decisions. Just because we made the wrong decisions early on, or this and that dude sleeping on his homeboy couch or living in your grandma's basement with your drawers on, got crumbs on your chest. You know what I'm saying? He could be getting up and going to get a job, just like you could choose a better man to go procreate with and live the rest of your life with. And I just, when I see things like that, everybody talking about this and that and why women do certain things, they're only telling you the type of people that they are because actually, a lot of these women out here ain't white material, bro. Some of them are baby mama material, and that's all they'll ever be, and that's all they'll ever drown down to. So you can't be out here trying to make a baby mama a wife. So dudes need to stop trying to make wives women that are wild material baby mama.
Absolutely. Hey, Uncle, thank you for your honesty too, man. I
Most
think
definitely.
that open transparency. So you've heard me say this, I believe. A lot of people, especially for some reason, it's the women. A lot of our women are overrepresented in health professions. A lot of them are social workers, therapists, and all this type of stuff. So they're over reliant on that to fix everything. So that's why I see a lot of women try to take stabs at men. Well, are you credentialed for this? Did you go to school for that? And what a lot of them don't realize is what did people do before therapy? They just worked their stuff out. And the reason they were able to do that is because they had the perspective and opinion from the lived experience of mature people.
Oh,
So thank you, Uncle Stepdaddy, for letting us know that is very mature of you to say, this is the road I went down, the decisions I made, and being open and transparent about your perspective on how to change it after the fact. That is how societies progress themselves throughout time.
There you
without
go.
therapy, without clinical therapy, without the DSM-4 or the DSM-5, without psychotherapists and
Mhm.
psychologists and meds. That is how people did it. So I just want to
Okay,
encourage people, if you want to come up and be open and transparent, we're going to make that space for you here, not only on the Trigger Mike Show, but on the Lapeef Network in general. All right? This is what the community needs if it's ever going to build itself back, right? The population. Some people don't say community. But if it's ever going to build itself back, it's the experiences, and if we're going to be all the way with it, of the men. When men go astray or our opinion is washed out, the society suffers. All right? So thank you for that. Mr.
can
Rick
I
Judah.
can I add one more word, Mr. Trigger Mike? I think so. This is another thing, and I hope everybody that watches Trigger Mike Show and the Lapeef Network and all of the podcasts around here, look, ladies, y'all need to kill that sisterhood bullshit. That is what's killing our culture, and that's what's killing the society today. Is this band together bullshit. Hold yourself accountable, because we see it on these panels from Crew Season, Lapeef, and the rest of them. Kill the sisterhood, not literally, but figuratively speaking.
I like that, Uncle Stepdaddy. We talk about that on my channel as well. That sister code, that sister code there is nothing more powerful and less impenetrable than that sister code. You get some sisters together, and from what I've experienced, one sister could say something totally wild and destructive, and it would take hell and high water for any of those surrounding sisters to correct her. Where we know as men, it does not go that way. Out of love, we just had someone on our panel, like you said, Uncle Stepdaddy. I think he was a 5 for 5, 5 kids, 5 baby moms, and we're not looking for perfection. But you have to evolve. You must sit down and quiet, reflect on yourself, submit to something greater than yourself, and figure out your stuff. As Trigger Mike said, life experiences are beautiful. Learn from those life experiences. We too distracted, if you ask me. Too distracted. Can't focus on what we got going on. Worried about, the different social media outlets and not really focus on the problem. Lack of accountability, and everyone having pity parties for themselves, running first place in the Victim Olympics.
Man. oh, y'all finna see it tonight. That Trill, I love that dude and everything they got going on. But pay attention. Tonight you're gonna see it's a sisterhood over there too. Can be dead wrong in the water.
Listen, when I know the sisterhood you're talking about, and I've had my first viral Manosphere viral video was actually talking about one of them, but I can't even watch. That's how some of that back and forth. I can't even watch. I gotta like hit the mute button for a second,
Man.
because this is the thing. Okay. Mr. Rick Judah. In fact, before I talk about that, how you doing today?
I'm good. I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on the show. Like I said, grace and peace to the 12 tribes. How y'all doing?
Good afternoon, brother.
Hey, I did want to add to what y'all talking about, the sister code and in therapy. I want to kind of, because Trigger Mike, you touched on therapy and how we've had, we really, I ain't gonna say we really don't need it, but for years we were going along without it. We had therapy, but it was good therapy. What the therapy was not sister code, but it was actually elder women telling the younger women when they talk to them how to conduct themselves, how to act. So they would check them when they was out of bounds. So you have therapy, but what you're doing is talking to the people around you. So if you got like a 25-year-old woman that's married to someone, and then she got 3 40-year-old aunts, and then her 40-year-old aunts are all married, if she going to them talking about, well, my man is this, and that, and then she's saying all this bad about him, talking about, I'm about to leave, they all gonna tell him, man, shut up, go home to your husband and submit to him. See, they had therapy. It was just correct therapy. Now we have toxic therapy. So that's really the difference. Is toxic and toxic femininity, because we always hear the toxic masculinity. It's toxic femininity teaching them, yeah, girl, know your worth. You better than that. You ain't got to deal with that. And then in essence, what you're doing is you're teaching that woman how to treat her sons, because her sons are going to watch that, and her sons are going to be like, oh, okay, ooh, you know what? Okay, I gotta know her worth. So I gotta fall back and allow this to go on. But if you got a father that's teaching his son how to treat women, a strong, real father figure that actually has some masculinity to himself, he's gonna let him know, hey, deal with her from a position of power, no matter what situation you're in, no matter what's going on. Even if you fall on hard times, you still in a position of power. Even if you up position of power, you are dominating that household, that situation. So no matter what, you treat that woman, and it's not about dominating and just making her do all kind of evil stuff, but it's dominating in protective manner. Because at the end of the day, the men with the most masculinity love the hardest. We love hard. So you showing her how hard you love her. We love hard. So we're going to make sure, hey, no, you can't go to the store at 9 o'clock when it's dark outside by yourself. No, take somebody with you. You know what I'm saying? You better take your sister, take 2 of our children. You're not going by yourself, because it's dangerous, not because I'm controlling. Well, actually, I am controlling. I'm controlling your protection. So call it what you want.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I'm teaching you how to treat so my son's gonna be like, oh, daddy's making sure mama's safe. He's gonna tell her what to do and put her in the right positions for her, the best position for her success. So it goes down to that.
Man, gems drop right there. Let me tell you something about what you just said, especially on the inside. Like, so going to the first part, that therapy stuff, because I don't think people even realize it. They're like, why are so many? It's weird to me. Like, people say Black people in general are absent from therapy. Do you not realize how wired Black people are to fix their own problems? People think being of a culture, even if you from, what do they call it, FBA, even if you're a descendant of slaves, or even someone who has roots in Africa, the issues that are still going on in any part of the world, it just seems like Black people, it made you more resilient. That's why we're resistant to this stuff. Our resiliency level is extremely high. I think we have a greater ability to fix our own issues than most people do. Like, you think about it this way. This is why I'm saying it. How the hell did Black men in this country go through everything that you went through on paper, and you haven't turned into the Taliban yet? Because you know that's what make the Taliban in other countries. Literally just going through things, getting denied jobs and not getting into universities, and they turn into the Taliban.
Being hated by your own women.
Resilient. It's a resilient thing. You see, it's a resiliency thing. You just gonna keep on pushing. Those people radicalize themselves over it, want to blow people up. We ain't do that. You see what I'm saying? So it's not a weakness, it's a resiliency thing. So I definitely appreciate that. Awesome. I'm gonna get Dusto in here to give the appropriate amount of dust, but we want your opinion on this, and I'm gonna ask y'all some questions on the panel before we close it out.
What's up, before he say something, hey, it's things we do need to blow up. We need to blow up the foolishness that's going on in our system, man.
Oh, indeed.
The system has a volunteer force. If you're not aware, most of them are Black. When a man decides he doesn't want to get married or go and at least make a valid attempt to go get the best woman, instead he goes over in the parking lot at a Nation of Wigwam at one of their meetings and sees baby mama car seats and, car ain't been washed in 6 months, and says, let me go take her home and raw dog. He volunteered for the system. When a man breaks the law and then blames the white man for what he did in 1822, he volunteered for the system. He said that slavery was not good enough. I want to sign up for the new slavery. That's what he did. So, there's a volunteer force, men and women. They decided this is what we're going to do. We asked them to do better and to do certain things that actually work. They said no. So a lot of dudes are saying, no, we'll just go ahead and bend these women over and Uber them back to the streets, or it's just going to be what it is. So we can't blame the system, because they actually sign up for the system daily and they do the system's work for them. Because they don't even know white people. And, all those people are dead, whoever started the system. They're dead. They decided, you know what? It wasn't doing good enough. Let's make it go. Let's keep it going. But anyway, as far as fathers teaching their sons, info is out there. People decide what they want to try to become. Now, a lot of people there's a lot of trauma, but I can explain it. You look for what you want. If you want to be a better basketball player, you go to the gym or you go grab a basketball. You don't go to the football field looking to be a better basketball player. If you want to be a carpenter, you don't get a hammer and climb on five-story roofs. So if people are wanting to become some type of better person, there should be some sort of action. Just like they say, well, what about the people without fathers? And what about this? They found a way to get the information they wanted to be to become the person they are. And I'm going to be real. Some people are just screwed up and it's just not fair. They're born in whatever, and to the point where their subconscious mind tells them, I need to go. They got so much drama, trauma, pain, abuse. Some of them didn't have a fair chance, like not even close. But I'm more talking about the middle ground who actually had the chance to make an option. They see a man with a suit. They see a dude with a crowbar. Crowbar. So a lot of them, absentee fathers, not cool. But get on the phone and call and find out what really happened with your dad. Get his side of the story. It's kind of important. Because it might not be the story that you thought it was. When I'm going to say it. Men 25, 30 years old that have 2 kids and they can't go see theirs. Got a problem with the system or whatever it is, and the woman took the kids and whatever. That probably happened to you with your own dad. You might want to call and find out what really happened and let go of all that trauma and all the stuff that you've been taught, because it might be a lie. Or if he really was a jive turkey with no gravy, if that's what he really was, then go ask your mom, what in the hell were you thinking? You made me with this. There goes the problem. But no, fathers, good fathers teach by action. By marrying, by treating women the right way. As a child, I grew up, I saw things being done the right way. So I'd be going against the grain, going and doing all this other stuff, the beating, cheating, skeeting, and all that funny stuff. So yeah, I ain't gonna hog the mic. Actions speak louder than words. By doing the right thing, you teach people how to do the right thing. By doing the other stuff, you create dust.
Good stuff, Dust. Good stuff, Dust. I'm still in that jive turkey with no gravy, by the way. I usually do say jive turkey, but the gravy, I'm still in that, brother. And I like what you said. You learned, you didn't experience, these jive turkeys, throwing around their gravy all willy-nilly growing up. So why would you do it? On the other end, that is what I experienced. But something deep down inside said, that is not it. Experiencing, domestic violence and things of that sort to extremes. I'm like, you know what? I know how that made me feel. Why would I inflict this on anyone else? So it comes from a place of empathy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Mr. Walker, I just don't. This is the one thing I just don't get. There's a man, he goes to the grocery store. There's a pretty woman with a job. Let's say he can't get her. Cool. But there's an average woman over there. She might be overweight. She might be whatever. You could talk to that one and she's nice. Why do they go to the 400-pound masculine Wigosaurus yelling at the customer service guy and stick their... Don't you know that? Don't you have a picture in your mind? This yakking, quacking Wigosaur you might reproduce. Now you come home and there's 3 of them things in your house. Why would someone want that?
They run to it because
a 10-year-old and a 5-year-old Wigosaurus maniacs in your house. Who would want that?
Low hanging fruit. They jump on the first thing smoking because they can't get nothing else. When dudes can't get no ass, they'll take anything thrown at them, and that's really the bottom line. Because then you would have better discipline if you had control of what you could get. But that's a whole nother conversation.
I can't even tolerate them on the panels half the time. How do they do it?
All right, so I got a question.
Go ahead.
Welcome, Mr. Stoner's Bake Talk Lounge. That's what you want to be called?
Great morning, gentlemen. Great afternoon, great morning.
All right, I got a question for the fellas because I was hoping some women would jump on. So I'm going to invite some next time on these topics because we want to hear from the mothers too. So any of y'all is in the chat, they're able to jump on. You can show me your face. I prefer you cam up, but show me your face first if you can, and then you can cam down because I really want to get a woman's perspective on this. But I also want to ask the fellas because I want to ask this question in context to the issues and problems that are present today. Most men in the Black community especially did not have fathers growing up, present fathers, right? So if a father didn't have the example shown for him, how does he go about learning so he can teach his son how to treat women? Because let's be real, some of these kids came out of terrible situations. Like, they didn't come out of real relationships. They damn sure didn't come out of marriage. They came out of that mama's ass being fat. You just really wanted to hit that, and I'm gonna be real. We always talk about the man's responsibility. These women are so misguided that in order to have a more experienced intimacy with you, she wants to go all the way. She going to reach down there and take that thing off. Like, oh, I really like him. I want to have his baby, right? That's how, women don't understand that in the throes of passion, that's actually natural for you to feel that way. You don't just want to have sex. You want to be inseminated. People don't talk about this enough. The way we are actually animals. You got to understand that. So that's how most people, unfortunately, came about. Horny as hell. Your mom was like, "Ooh, look at this chest he got. Ooh, look at his height. Look, I want my baby to look like this," right? So if you didn't have the example or the model of a consummate mother, father, nuclear family, but a man that's trying to be a good father knows that he has a duty to teach his son better, where does he go to get the education so he can teach his son? Somebody help me out with that.
I tell you what, like I said, growing up without a father, I'm a 1980s crack baby. I was born under the influence of crack back in Detroit, and had a very, for lack of a better term, very eventful young childhood. And one thing that I know for sure that just gave me a solid moral compass in order to want to search and become a father, period, to be a good man, was my mom used to, make us and force us to go to church. And I remember sitting there as a young kid, and I really had a very strong urge to want to, learn and build a relationship with God. So it always goes back to what I believe be spiritual grounding, some type of strong, healthy fear of the Creator, so that you move accordingly. A lot of people just don't have fear. They don't have a healthy fear, of doing wrong. I have an extreme fear of doing wrong and being punished for doing wrong because I know better. When you know better, you should do better. And if you don't, accept the consequences. But my pill I love to swallow, keep saying it. A lot of stuff may not be, our fault as far as not having fathers or not having real mothers. But at some point, you must be accountable for your life. Observe the things that are going on around you. Observe your own pain and hurt and trauma, and say, you know what? I'm not going to let that happen. I'm going to continue this. And I don't know if Rick said, I'm not sure who said it. Oh, no, I think Dusto said it. If you care, you go ahead and look up the information. You will seek people that will teach you and help you if you give a dang. If you care, you'll find it. Somebody brought up carpentry. That's my trade. I'm a licensed general contractor. When I realized that I like working with my hands, I said, okay, let me start watching some YouTube videos. Let me do this, that, and the third, and start working around my own home and building stuff for my wife. If you care enough, if it's inside of you, you will seek it. I think it was 2 days ago, Trigger Mike, we was talking about, how to move the needle forward as far as, building up the nuclear family again. And I forgot where I was going with that, but we was talking about that, and we talked about being married and building relationships amongst parents that are co-parenting. And there you go. If you care, you gotta care. I think somebody object and say, "Oh, you can't teach these parents that are co-parenting this and that," because the people have to care. That you can't make a mom be a mom. You can't make a father be a father. They have to want to be that.
Real quick, Mike, can you hear me, gentlemen?
Yeah.
How y'all doing? I would say it would have to be the men in your community that you see that are holding themselves as fathers and men of some type of status. You have maybe men in your family or men that are close to your family, that are husbands, that are fathers, that are actually there and present with their children. I believe that would also help a young man figure out how to become a father and to help him guide himself for his children. It's right here in our community. We just have to reach out to these other men, and if you cannot find a man that is willing to, there are other men, within the community that are police officers, construction workers, like the man said, like I said, men of stature that have status.
Nice. That's really what it is. And not only is what you're saying so critical, I think you're talking about seeking out men of good status, upstanding men. That's more of that brotherhood community type of feel that we've gotten away from. But I also want to go back to what Mr. Walker said too, because the church used to be such a critical part of all of this. And remember, I think we said, look at the chronological order in which men left the church and families started dying. Some women still go to church. Men don't go to church no more. Because if men aren't involved in the family dynamic, it's almost as if, what is it all for if we're not creating families? Not only do I want to bring up the topic about church, what I believe church does, not only the guidance that you get from the pastor, I don't even believe children really start understanding that until like their teens and all of that. I literally went to church and dazed off into space for hours when I was younger. I don't even know why they didn't allow us to go to the children's part. They kept me in the real part. I didn't understand nothing that guy was saying. I just couldn't wait for.
Sorry to interrupt you, Mr.
Yeah, go ahead.
But that's where my downfall as a young man was. My pastor corrupted our church, left off and left us hanging. And that's where as far as men in my family, our downfall, the sin started to happen because we removed ourselves because we lost our church and we lost our members. We had over 2,000 members, it went bad. And that was where my structure was in the church. I went there faithfully because I was told, but I also was getting the mentorship that I needed. So you are right in some aspect, you are right. But a lot of the downfall for me and the men that was around us was because of the church.
Hey, can I also say, can I add something to that? Because as you saying, the downfall for you for the church, and this is just because I know a lot of people say that it happens with, the pastor does X, Y, and Z, and he shows himself to be hypocritical, and it causes people to fall away. Here's my main pushback with that is that doesn't stop. You have corrupt bosses at work and people still go get paid. You have corrupt teachers, you still go to school. A lot of times we'll shy away from the church because the pastor, if we have that correct brotherhood, which Mr. Walker touched on, and you touched on, my bad, you touched on that, my fault. But Mr. Walker touched on the church. The Bible teaches brotherhood. Brotherhood brings about accountability, collective accountability. You'll force the pastor out or force him into repentance. And if you don't repent, then you'll get him out. And then what's going to happen is now you're going to rebuild. The church is going to still stand strong. You have to lose all these people. The people left because they were the foundation's built on sand instead of on the rock. And that's kind of what usually happens. And when you build on sand, it's easy for the house to fall down. But go ahead.
Richard, you stole my word. So before Stoner Talk Lounge cut me off, that's the word I said. Not only is church important, I think, so like I said, I couldn't even understand what the pastor was saying. The one thing I noticed about my father in general and what molded my entire life around what I should be doing was his repentance for his sins. Just watching men go and counsel and say, this is what I did wrong. Knowing that, who your father is or the men in your community to you, they are some kind of version of God to you. Right. And it's their repentance for the things that they've done that really molds you and shapes you into who you're supposed to be and how you're supposed to be accountable to your community as a man. And I even absent of church, that's what we don't have in the community. Not enough dudes are coming out here saying, you know what? I didn't do it the right way. We know mothers aren't doing it. I didn't do it the right way. I don't want that. I don't want that to happen to you.
But that takes personal accountability, though. And we have men always talking about women don't hold themselves accountable. If you really look at it, though, men don't hold themselves accountable. That's why men like to push that whole MGTOW movement, which is the dumbest acronym I've ever heard in my life, going your own way. If you got 7 billion men going their own way, let's say half, let's say 3 billion men going their own way, nobody's going anywhere together. And then you talking about we need togetherness and family and brotherhood. And look, how you gonna have any type of togetherness and unity if everybody's going their own way? That's the dumbest shit in the world. But the main point I want to get on, though, I think it's important to have that collective accountability. That's why I'm so big on we should follow the scriptures. I ain't saying go to church, because modern church now is feminism. Like when Kevin Samuels made that video, he was dead on. Like it is feminist women all through there, and effeminate men usually are just filling up the places, because it's not really about men. It's not a male dominated thing. It's straight up. It's not patriarchy. It's matriarchy. So, and that's kind of why men kind of shy away, because they have no place there. There's no place for. Before I learned the truth and separated myself from Sunday church, I really was like, dang, I have nothing to do here. I just was, what's my place? What am I? How can I accomplish anything? How can I help build something? Because I don't really believe in what y'all are doing. Y'all aren't doing what the scriptures say, which is no accountability, no patriarchy. It's just bad. But we definitely got to have that, because again, you talk about having stronger men and teaching your sons how to carry themselves. You can't teach a son how to carry himself if he's not accountable to anything. At least if the scriptures can't change, no matter what a man does. A man can do and say whatever he wants, but you can't twist the word. The word's gonna stay the same, and it's always gonna remain constant, which means consistency, which means structure. It's everything about the Bible's all about masculinity. It is 100%. No man, I don't want to go into a tangent. Y'all go ahead.
Yeah, but you were speaking facts, though. You're not gonna lie. All right,
Yeah.
let's.
Go ahead.
Oh, my bad.
Let me just get what's going on. At Quill, how you?
How's it going?
All is well.
Quill,
what's going on, Chief?
Not much, man. I just wanted to add to the conversation. I think that the misconception about the Bible is a book of relationships. It's about our relationship with one another and our relationship with God, and how to keep those relationships in good standings. If you look at the 10 Commandments, that's what it's all about. If you look at what it's talking about, it's about you not infracting upon God and you not infracting upon another man. That's what those things cover, and it's to keep balance amongst people and balance amongst God. Our relationships are important, because then it keeps somebody from, like, if I do something against you, it tries to keep the balance between it. It tries to keep us from doing things that would otherwise cause disruption for the community. And you respecting other people. That's what, like, if you look at like the whole Old Testament, the Old Testament is covering what people did wrong and why it didn't work. You know what I'm saying? Like, none of that stuff worked, because guess what? Most of the time, either the people in the Old Testament were looking at what other people did and weren't being the example of what the other nations need to see, or you had a leader that wind up straying away, and it wind up costing his family and his people. So we have to learn how to to learn to see the Bible for what it is and take the emotion out of it, because I think we look at it in ignorance and emotion, and it causes us to look at it in a very skewed way.
Factuals. Dusto, you had something to say before that?
Yeah. The question, man, do men want to be better men, and do men want to be better women in the first place? So you can say, how can they? Do they want to? What are their plans for the next week? What are they looking to go do? It's usually dust. If you gave them $15,000 in cash, what would they go do with it? Dust. If you made them more attractive and go and get any man, any woman that they could, what would they go do? Dust. And it's always somebody else's fault, because of what the white man did in 1426. If you want to know what somebody wants, or really wants to do, when they come, man, I'm trying to get this money. Okay. Do this, and do this. You'll never hear from him again. The woman, I want a man. I want abs. You know, I want a man that's almost as good looking as Scam Likely. Oh, all right, cool. Go to the gym. You'll never hear from her again. Raw Dog Ronnie told me, oh man, I want to be a. Oh, cool. Go read this book or go look up this. You'll never hear from her again. They don't want it. People really want something. They go after it. I mean, they say, just like they say, oh, well, the Hispanic man, the Jewish man, the other man, and the Asian man, they got them what? Okay. You ever knocked on their door and say, excuse me, sir. How did you get this? If you really want it, go get it. And then you actually knock on their door and find out it's not that much different over there either. But that's another subject. Except the ones that are foreign and came from somewhere else. They pretty 70-80% got their families together. But Americanized, it don't matter what the race, they're out of control. That's a majority.
What about all that?
Most of them out of control, bro.
So in closing,
Right.
I got a question for everybody on the panel. One thing I constantly say is that we don't have an excuse for our behavior most of the time because we got an example. No matter what's going on in your community, especially as men, it's kind of innate, right? It's biological to say you come at a crossroads at some point in life and say, I can go down this road or that road, and I know exactly what I'm doing going down either.
Yeah, have
and
a
you
good
choose
one.
to go.
Have a good one.
All right, bro.
Appreciate it.
You choose to go down the wrong one or the right one because we have an example. So what culture, as it relates to families and treating women right, raising your sons right, all of that, what culture do you admire? It could be the black culture, it could be white, anything like. What culture do you admire that upholds community values? I'll say that. And why?
Who going first?
Mr. Walker.
Hey, it looked like you up.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. I was reading the back chat there. What was the question there? Yeah, so dropping knowledge in the back chat had me reading.
Got you. What culture do you admire that upholds community values and why?
Man, I gotta watch the words that I use here, but the small hats, you know what I mean? Man,
everybody know who you talk about.
Yeah,
that's the funny part.
I drove through a neighborhood where I live up here. I act like I'm a celebrity up here in Pittsburgh, and it's close to the universities, and there's a whole community full of them, and it is the most organized and most beautiful thing I've ever seen. The elders, what amazes me most is the elder men in that community. They dress and they look like elders with wisdom and knowledge, and they can move the needle forward. I love the structure. And the fact that they will back and support each other with the extreme bias. They don't even have to like you as a person, but the fact that you are what I am, and you make shoes, you could get on my nerves, but I'm still gonna buy your shoes because we part of this group. So, man, and that is something that I yearn for. That is I care and I strive to share that same kind of bias towards my people. And so it's the small hats, man. They got it going on. I think Kanye said it. He said he was jealous of how their community is so tight knit and they get things going, because one of the things I know that we struggle with in our community is just being too emotional. And there's some bad spirit of division amongst us where we're strong, dominant men that can move the needle don't seem to want to work together. Everything I have attained in my life is working with other men. I have not done anything on my own. So the small hats gonna be the small hats for me, brother.
I'll go next, man. Go ahead.
No, go. I was just gonna make a quick comment about him saying small hats. They do what we supposed to be doing, but go ahead.
Exactly. I'm gonna say this, bro. I can say I agree with it. I'm gonna add a few more. I'm gonna add a couple more caveats. the Hispanic community and the African. Because I'm gonna say this, and this might might not be the most popular thing to say, but uh, when it comes to them, you see the structure they have that they stick together because people that's out here in YouTube land, not all us colored people, black people are from Africa. We are natives of this land. So when it comes to that, I see how they work together. They have shops, braiding shops, food, restaurants, and things like that. And the Hispanic people, I see how they work together. Like it could be as much as we make fun of them. It'd be like 30 of them, like sardines in one house, and they're gonna all bring in income, and they're gonna help each other. It almost makes me feel like, well, man, why can't our people do that? Why can't we be like that towards each other? Because is it the fact that they love each other more than we do, or we love our own kind, or is it just jealousy, the crab in the barrel mentality? That saying you don't want one person to outshine you, or you want to see another person outshining you, or this and that, whatever, what have you. But I feel like we need to, if we ever, I don't think it'll ever happen. I'm gonna just be honest with y'all. It's a select few of us that will do that, but us as an overall, I don't think it'll happen because it's about what they were taught in their culture. They're taught that to look out for each other. In our culture, we go out here to try to spend as much money as we can to look like somebody else to impress people who don't even give a damn about it. Sometimes, like, we got to, like, I forgot what one of the guys said it earlier, but we got to stop blaming the white man for everything. It's just like Tupac said, no matter how y'all feel about him or things like that, it ain't the white man we should feel. It's our own kind doing all the killing or the deleting. I'll say that. That's doing all the destruction to our people. So we can't keep blaming, the clan from 200-300 years ago and stuff like that. We the own clan now. It's like the color version, like the black version. We are there. So how many times we gonna keep using the excuse about this and that? We poor, disenfranchised. When there's a lot of people doing good out here, and you can get yourself out of it often. You can pick up the bootstrap and do it. But it's all about what you want. It's just like I forgot what one of you guys said. Whatever you want, whatever you want to know, or what it's right there at your fingertips. Google, Bing. You can go research it, like you said. You can go knock on the neck on the next man door and say, "Hey, how did you get there?" And like you said, it's no different than what you got. They ain't got more than what we got, but they make the best of it. They appreciate it, the value of it. It's like we're so enamored and too caught up in trying to be, be like this to get up there with the white man. Like I feel like it's just like wasn't they say like integration was the worst thing to happen to us because we were stronger as a mighty fist then during segregation, but we wanted to have a seat at the white man table. Why? Why we wanted to eat his food? We had our own food. Our food tastes way better. That's what never made sense to me when I was growing up learning that in school. Like, why did Dr. King want this to happen? And then once he learned right before he died, like I integrated my people into a burning house, which he did. Like, why did you so enamored wanting to be liked and cared and loved by the white man? Oh well, we doing this over here on our own. Yeah, they might have bombed and this and that, but they would have had to bomb me forever. They can't blow us all up when it comes to
Gotcha.
Tulsa or anything like that. But that's my thing. Like you said, the small hats, the Hispanics, and the Africans. Even in the Chinaman, they got Chinatowns everywhere. But
Man, you taking all the cultures, bro. You taking all the cultures. Somebody else probably want to say something on it.
my
Appreciate
bad.
your input, Uncle Stepdaddy. All right, Quell. What culture do you admire that upholds community values and why?
Oh man, I would have to say the Asians, man, because I work with I work with a whole bunch of Asians right now, and even if they ain't even from the same country, man, they still like respect one another. You know what I mean? Um, just how I see them interact and embrace one another, and even if they got differences, even if they don't like each other, it's a thing of we're working towards a common goal. Um, and I think that's the biggest thing is that finding people to being able to hold one another accountable and recognizing when you're wrong is the problem like in our community where it's like we see only one thing. We see what somebody has, not what it took for them to get it, not what the struggles they had to go through. It's man, that dude got a nice car. Or I'll give you a quick example where my wife is in cosmetology school, and I had took her a gift to her school one day, and one of the girls was like, oh, your husband does all these nice things for you, and I need a man like that. And she was just like, you don't know what I had to go through. He wasn't always able to do these things. So be careful what you ask for, because you don't know what I went through to get here. Because we just recently got in this situation where we were able to do those things. We struggled for a while, and it was because of the situation I was in at the time, as far as where I lived, my environment, the jobs that were available. So me moving had put me in a situation where my wife hung in there with me. She knew that I had a plan. She knew that I had that I was going to go somewhere, and she built with me. So in turn, for her patience, I'm like, I will give you whatever you need. The thing, your wants, your needs, your desires, because you stuck with me in a time where I was trying to figure it out. And I got it figured out now. I'm willing to give you whatever. So I think that's the biggest thing, is learning to build, to have that type of building with one another in relationships, and with in the community in general.
Nice. All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Japan, Japanese, also Asian community as well. The community came back from literally being bombed to becoming a strong nation, to where they was able to build back and actually build back their economy, and being one of the leaders in the tech. So I would say Japan.
Nice. All great ones. All right, Mr. Judah, take us out.
Hey, I'm gonna stick with Mr. Walker's first, the small hat people. But Uncle Stepdaddy is kind of said what my first initial thought was: everybody but black people. I was gonna say everybody but, the N word. Everybody but us. Everybody. Yeah, they do a good job of looking out for each other. But anyways, the small hats, and that's because that group of people, like I said, they pull together for each other. They look out for each other, no matter what country they in. If they're in Asia, they're gonna work together. If they in Australia, they're gonna work together. If they in wherever they go, they're gonna always roll together, and they have a strict code of conduct. They have a system that they run, and that's what I admire the most about it, because it's really, which obviously people understand it. We are the people of the book. They say they're us, and they follow the book, and that's why they're on top of the world. But if you tell a Negro to follow the Bible, they're gonna be like, no, we ain't doing that. We're awake. You know what I'm saying? We're awake to the truth. We're self-conscious. We're aware. We're goofy Negroes, really. But what I'm trying to say is, we doing all this stuff that is contrary to what we need to do, and that community actually sticks to a code of conduct. They have a standard of excellence. They have a standard of behavior that everybody has to meet. And if you don't meet that, they will deal with you in a way where they will cancel you. You know what I'm saying? That's what we got to start doing. Like stuff like, and I'm just gonna throw out a quick, like R. Kelly. He should have been canceled by the black community long ago. Why were we still out here supporting him and helping him continue to build up as a person? No, he should have been swiftly dealt with in a way that was like, oh no, we're gonna ostracize you, we ain't gonna deal with you, and everything you have is going to kind of diminish. And over time you're gonna see, okay, they kind of not dealing with me like that. You know what I'm saying? I should be ashamed. We don't make people ashamed. And I love when people say bring back shame, because we start bringing back shame, we wouldn't have to deal with the mess we did. That community, the small hats, there's shame among them. You know what I'm saying? If they say you'll bring shame to our family, you can't marry outside of our people. Like, they do all of this stuff that we should have been doing, but we will make passes. It's okay if you want to be A, B, C, D, LGBTQ, and mental P, all that stuff. We say it's okay if you want to marry outside. We say all these things are okay, and just live your life. Live your life. Well, what if live your life is destructive to your people? You know what I'm saying? That community don't think like that. That community says, we gonna follow this. I don't care what you talking about, even though we know they corrupted and mess it up. But that's because they done said they us. But anyways, I respect that.
Y'all dropped some gems there, but I just want to say on everybody's point, just to a realistic thing, there's not racism there's division, classism of all types within every single one of those cultures. But the point is they stay together anyway. They stay together after the fact. So I just want to highlight that, like every single thing that was highlighted, to say, because I know one thing that a lot of people do in this country is they pretend victimized. Yeah, they will act like as though we suffer from more than those people suffer from. Absolutely not. Go take a trip around the world. Literally, the funny thing about the like, let's say white and black people in America, go to Africa and realize that all the people look like you and they still doing the same stuff. I've lived there before, in Nigeria before. The people doing the same stuff, they just look like you. None of this changes anything. All right. But
Scattered.
even through it, they persevere. The one thing I like about the small hats, I heard one person say it. A small hat will mess with and employ another small hat, a screwed up small hat, over another person. They still they people. They'll be like, I know this dude is gonna ruin this damn fixing my garage. I know he gonna ruin it. He suck, but he a small hat. So I'm gonna let him do it. Like that's the culture they got. I think that's pretty amazing. But my particular one, since y'all took all the damn cultures, I'm gonna say the Mexicans, man. The one thing I like about the Mexicans, because I like, things about all cultures for real. We believe in America for some reason that money is capital. It is not. We see the value of money diminish in this past year alone. We joke about Mexicans piling into one car, piling into one house. But me, do you know what I see when I see that? I see human capital. That is what money is. They can say, like, think about it this way. If grandma and grandpa in that house, all the kids that they had are in that house, all the grandkids they had are in that house, all the men go to work, they all working to pay off that one house. Then they can split. A few of them live somewhere else. They all work to pay off another house. Now they got equity and equity. One of the moms gets sick, no problem. The men are working. One of the sisters can watch the mom and the dad. That's human capital. Nobody suffers because everybody is moving to support the system in whatever role they have to. That is what capital actually is. They will never be at a loss because they literally have all the most disposable human capital in the world. Who you need? I got a dude that'll bring them across the Rio Grande. Who you need? I got 3 for you. You need some employees at this spot? Shoot, they figure out a way not to even work and not pay taxes. How about that? They got nothing but human capital. That's what I really admire about them. But yeah, man, we're gonna go ahead and finish up the show, man. I appreciate y'all. Y'all were definitely welcome anytime I'm doing a show, Monday through Friday. Y'all come on up and chop it up with your boy. I really love y'all perspectives, man. I appreciate y'all for coming up, and talk to you next time. All right. Thank y'all for watching the Trigger Mike show today. This was another good one. Make sure that y'all jump on tonight. I believe we got Bridging the Gap with Kelly. That topic, I'm drawing a blank on the topic. JR is going to come up. Yes, Bridging the Gap. What does poverty look like around the world? Not only do we have highly contentious topics here on the Lapeef Network, we also have highly educational topics. And you need to see your people talk about these topics. So I encourage you to go to that page right now, the Lapeef Experience and the Lapeef Network. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button and hit that notification button. Watch these shows. Sharpen your perspective. We talk about a lot of topics. Y'all need to be a part of it. Get in the chat, communicate with us. Let us know what's on your mind. Another great one. Appreciate y'all. We'll be back tomorrow. Thank y'all for coming through. JR, take us out. Appreciate everyone.